Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Wrestling Fans Insight Sunday Takedown Special Edition. We just recently watched the AEW 2023 All In PPV. I'm your host, John Hoppe, alongside with my brother William. How you doing?
I am doing absolutely fabulous for how hectic everything is.
Awesome. Yeah, and we also have our other co-host, Carlos, in the building. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys? I'm tired, being honest. A little sleep for this, but it was worth it. It picked up. It was a slow burn.
Well, let's kind of get our overall thoughts. Why don't we start with you, Carlos, on what you thought of the pay-per-view event overall? Oh boy.
At first, and I'm just being honest. So I got it. So just so you guys know, like, one of the benefits of being on X is that we get to meet a lot of people around the world. And with that being said, I have a few friends there that are in England, and they couldn't get tickets to go to They couldn't get tickets to go to Money in the Bank, but they got tickets to go to All In. And so at first, to me, like, honestly, it felt like a consolation prize at first. You know, it felt like, to me, it came across as a consolation prize. Like, I didn't get to go to Money in the Bank, but I'm here. You know, like, that's what it. And just like even at first too, just the way it felt like WrestleMania from Wish. If I'm being honest, you know, it's kind of like it felt like a big deal, but it didn't feel like a big deal. And I think a lot of that just had to do with the book, you know, the build to this. But the best two stories that were told, in my opinion, were the last two matches. And that's when honestly it really cooked for me, was those last two matches. It really, even the last four, if you include Sting and Darby. But those, like, the second half of the card, to me, is what really cooked. Like, the first half just kind of felt like, we got to get these guys in because they're all the hits that people want to see. But to me, the last part of the card was really where it cooked and really felt like a really fun event.
All right. As far as your match of the night, who do you give it to?
Oh, MJF and Adam Cole. I think they both arrived, you know, especially considering, you know, talking, like, I mean, I just put it on X, you know, like, this is Vince McMahon wanted Adam Cole to be a manager for Keith Lee in WWE. And now he's the main event, you know. And again, these guys, I think at first too, you know, like our other partner, Bryan the Hype Ballard, would argue a little bit about, you know, like, people were saying, what's going to be the main event? And the champion should be the main event. And I think Adam Cole and MJF proved why. You know, like, they had that crowd hook, line, and sinker. They were eating everything they did, and they both deserve kudos. I mean, they've already been the main event scene, but I feel like they officially arrived as main eventers, being in front of 80,000 people, and they killed it, man. They knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
All right, William, well, give us your thoughts on the overall event tonight.
I'm actually fairly well aligned here with Carlos's opinion about it. It wasn't AEW's best, that's for sure. The last two matches, like you said, were killer. A little bit surprised by the Aussie Open losing the titles. I did not see that coming whatsoever. And I think another really good one was FTR versus the Young Bucks. That's a match I enjoyed.
Yeah, I definitely have to give kudos to both those teams.
Yeah.
It actually was pretty unpredictable at a few spots there, because we thought for sure there was going to be a title change. And then at another point, we thought FTR was going to retain. It definitely had all different types of moments in that match. It just always kept us guessing, oh, maybe that we thought it was over. And then all of a sudden there's a kick out, and it was very unpredictable throughout the entire match. So, you know, that was a pretty stellar one. I have to say, though, I was a little more impressed with some of the 0 hour matches too, because, you know, those usually are kind of very low key, but like you mentioned, nobody expected the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title change. Seeing Aussie Open drop them to MJF, Adam Cole, kind of kept us guessing what was going to happen in the world title match. And as far as the FTW championship, I think we all pretty much had a clear thought that when we found out the match was booked, the championship was going to go back into the grasp of Hook there.
Yeah.
So Carlos, while we're thinking about it, did you want to kind of run the show, since this is kind of more your puppy, or do you want me to run down the results?
You can take it. I mean, if you got it, go ahead. I mean, it's a shared thing. Go ahead. You
All
got
right.
it. I'm good.
So, in other words, Carlos saying, I want this asshole to screw things up today. So
Yeah, exactly. Let him take the.
all right. So if you weren't able to
I'm Soraya. I'm Soraya. You're Tony Storm. Okay. Get it.
Boo.
Wow. And we had the worst booking ever. Thanks, Carlos. So if you were not able to tune into the pay-per-view, we apologize, but here we'll give you the results if you don't have time. In the 0 hour, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship changed hands as MJF and Adam Cole defeated Aussie Open. For the FTW Championship, Hook becomes two-time champion, defeating Jack Perry. On the main card, we start off with the Real World Championship, which I really hate saying that. But anyway, CM Punk successfully defends against Samoa Joe. In what was kind of my real shocker of the night, because even though I guessed it wrong, Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold ends up defeating the team of Hangman.
I think we all guessed that one wrong.
Yeah, I think
Didn't
we did.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Will didn't.
Oh, Will didn't?
Didn't? Oh no. Oh, Will, didn't you guess Kenny in them? Oh no, yeah, we all guessed it wrong. Sorry, yeah, we all did.
Yeah. So Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold ends up defeating the team of Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi.
This bullshit finish. Okay.
Whoa.
Save it for later. Calm down, fella. For the AEW World Tag Team Championship, FTR successfully defended against the Young Bucks in the Stadium Stampede, which was definitely a little bit out there. The team of Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Eddie Kingston, and Penta defeats the team of the Blackpool Combat Club and Proud and Powerful. For the AEW Women's World Championship four-way, Saraya becoming the new champion in her home crowd, defeating Tony Storm, Hikaru Shida, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. In the coffin match, which was another different style match, the team of Darby Allin and Sting defeats Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Will Ospreay gets the nod from Chris Jericho as he gets the pinfall victory over the
Ocho.
The Ocho, as you call them, I guess, anymore.
What's his gimmick this week? I get lost.
I never remember.
He's going to be a wizard tomorrow. So.
Wizard, or he's going to be the Painmaker. But for the
back to Lionheart.
Yeah. The Trios Championship, the House of Black, unfortunately did not successfully defend as they lost to the team of the Acclaimed and Badass Billy Gunn. And in the main event, the AEW World Championship, at first it was actually a draw as both men pinned each other, but then they decided to go sudden death style in a way. Unfortunately, it worked out an advantage for MJF as he retained over Adam Cole. So why don't we just go ahead and break it down match by match? Why don't we start off with the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship? What's your thoughts on that, Will?
Like I said, this was a surprise to me. It was a great match. And to be honest, I kind of like what they did with it because it led further throughout the entire night. And it really, really lended to that final match.
I felt bad for Sarah because she was decided to go out with the family because
kangaroo kick.
She wanted to watch MJF perform that kangaroo kick, and I have to say he pulled it off pretty well. So I would say that was pretty much my highlight of the match there.
Yeah.
Carlos?
Because I'm the only one that predicted it right? I'm going over the results. Yeah, because you guys all picked Aussie Open, right?
Yeah, I think everybody picked Aussie Open.
Yeah, except for me. Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't surprised by this. Again, to me, like I was just mad because like you did such a good job of building Aussie Open coming into this card, and then to have them lose by a double clothesline, and then like again when you have AEW where finishers really don't matter these days, like I feel like it just sounded me wrong for them to lose with a double clothesline. Like they deserve to go out better than that. But again, it was a good match. It was entertaining, but I don't really think right now having them as the tag team champions adds anything. It didn't really go into the main event, but at the same time, I I don't know. It depends on what they're going to do with the titles, I guess. I guess to be determined, because I mean, if they're going to eventually lose them to the Kingdom, I'm happy to see the Kingdom win the titles because I feel like they've been underutilized. But at the same time, them winning the titles really didn't add anything to it. To me, like, I feel like with watching AEW, I feel like the parent who's like letting their kid go off on their bike without the
Training
what's it
wheels.
called? Training wheels. Yeah. And you're hoping they're going to get it. But you see they're about to fall. And to me, it's like, this is just like opening them up to criticism, from the WWE stands over there who are going to be like, oh, you don't let these, these finishers don't count, but you're going to have a tag team lose with the double clothesline. To me, that's my one criticism. Like, you're going to have these finishers not count all these other matches, but you're going to have one of your best tag teams lose with a double clothesline. That's like a dumb move. That's worse than a Hogan leg drop, and it's just like, the ending just sit with me. Like, I'm okay with the results, but I just wish they would have lost with the better finisher than the double clothesline.
Yeah, most definitely having some bike issues there.
Who, me?
No,
William.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of, because I was just noticing that for whatever reason, it's actually sitting higher than it normally did.
No, it's because we had Sarah use that microphone a couple of weeks ago. So.
Okay.
He was just nodding along with me. He's like, "What a great take, Carlos! Wow, that's the mic. So thank you, appreciate it."
No, that was a great take. Sorry,
I actually do have some heartburn, kind of like you do, Carlos, with that whole thing, but mine is because Aussie Open really didn't hold those titles for very long.
No, they did not. I mean, here we've been griping about long-term title reigns because you want to have some prestige to your championships, and unfortunately, we'll talk about that a little later here. As we break down the match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carlos already
Which
knows
match was that? Which match is that going to be about?
Yeah, Carlos already knows because I gave him a middle finger emoji for that one. So, but anyways, no, why don't we move on to the FTW Championship? What's your thoughts, Will, on Hook becoming two-time FTW champion?
I don't think he should have had it dropped in the first place. I really don't think that's the way that should have gone with Jack Perry. The match went exactly how I expected it would go. They did a really good job on it. But if Jack Perry was going to end up with the title, it should have been the International or the TNT.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Carlos?
I don't understand why. To me, this it should have been Rob Van Dam versus Jack Perry at All In. Like, I'm still like scratching my head as to why you brought a legend like Rob Van Dam in and you just used him on Dynamite, and he didn't have this match at Wembley. I think that would have just popped the crowd a lot better. I don't know. Just to me, I feel like it's really sad because I feel like to me, Hook is in the same like bin as Wardlow. Like, he just kind of lost his luster, and it's like, what happened to this guy? Like, it's not sitting well with me at all. I don't like, to me, he should have Anna Jay. He should have a hot girl to make all the guys jealous. Like, I just don't understand what they're doing with his booking right now. And to me, like, why have him win and give Hook his first loss just to have him lose the title this quickly? Again, it's just questionable booking again. To me, I would have had him keep the title longer, and I would have had the match with RVD at Wembley. I think that would have done a lot more for the product in general instead of having Hook. But again, I think it's one of those things where, they're looking at their roster going, okay, we need to make sure that we give him the Acclaim, we give him this, we give him that. So they want him, because Hook's like a phenom, so they wanted to make sure he was there. But I don't really think the match or even the title reign served any purpose. I'm with Will on that one.
All right. Why don't we go right to the main card here? Starting off, this was a match I was really puzzled why you would start off the main card, especially after seeing what we just saw on the dirt sheets. I don't think you saw it, Will.
No.
But we'll talk about that here a little bit after we break down the match. For the Real World Championship, which I really, really hate saying that. I've already said that once. CM Punk successfully defends over Samoa Joe. And Carlos, why don't we get your take on that one?
So looking at this from like a perspective, and we'll get into this later. I did like the fact that they kind of got CM Punk, the Elite, and even like the Blackpool Comic Club. They kind of got them all out of the way first, and kind of let the other guys who have been like kind of this like the unsung heroes of the promotion kind of get their shine, like like the guys like the Adam Coles, the MJFs, the Acclaimed, letting those guys, the Darby Allins, kind of letting those guys have the shine for once. I kind of appreciated the fact that all like the more higher ups and the guys who kind of have more of the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank here, but they have like they have the
I would just call it the tenure.
The tenure, the tenure. They have Tony Khan's ear more, like letting those guys go first and kind of getting them out of the tenure. Those guys going first, kind of. I like the way that sat with me. Honestly, it was kind of like, okay, they're letting these guys go first, and they're gonna let these other guys have a chance to cook. I like that thing. Hold on one second.
Oh, I think we lost.
No, we didn't. He's talking to somebody.
Sorry, I had my family members asking me a question. But no, I think, like to me, I like that going first. I just don't agree. Again, with CM Punk, I just think it was, I wouldn't have started the show off with that. I would have started off with the Young Bucks versus FTR, because I think that would have just got the crowd really into the show more. But again, it was a good match. It's just kind of like, again, to me, it was one of those things like, politicking is like right where like, like I was kind of shocked that Jericho didn't get to go first this time, because he's always the one that usually gets to do that. But it was an entertaining match. I mean, it was a match I was looking forward to because of the build-up. But again, it was just I don't know, it was just kind of different, But then going into the whole thing afterwards that we'll talk about later, it served its purpose. But to me, I think it would have been better served off towards the end of the show. But again, I do appreciate the fact that they got it out of the way and they're letting these other guys have a chance to shine.
Yeah. Other than the placement, like you guys mentioned, the match actually went really well. They were definitely entertaining throughout it, especially, hulking up.
Yeah, we see the 5-knuckle shuffle attempt by CM Punk. Well, I shouldn't say attempt, the tease.
Mm-hmm.
I just like, oh no, they're not really doing this, and of course, here they are. Then we get the nice old leg drop and everything else. I'm just like, oh shit. So, of course, why not poke the bear a little more with WWE?
And I think it does poke the bear, like again, like someone had posted online, the fact that, here's Samoa Joe a few years ago when they were, at the WrestleMania in Tampa, he's a color commentator sitting there in the rain with a poncho, and someone who Vince didn't see value in, and now he's opening the show in front of 81,000. So I think it does show the purpose of the fact that, like, and again, this is why I root for AEW, because it's like these guys have a lot of value. And it shouldn't be up to just Vince to decide who has something left and who he doesn't, just because he can get a sour taste in his mouth about somebody because they botched one thing. So, again, it is to show, like, it does show kind of what makes them different as far as, we see you, we see what you can still bring to the ring, and we still believe in you. So I think that was kind of a smart move with having Joe open the show, because he has given a lot to the business, and they have the whole story, the whole background with Ring of Honor. So, in a way, it does serve that purpose, but personally, I just would have liked to have seen it gone later on in the card.
Yeah, if you're going to have I guess you can call it championship match, you usually don't want that starting off at the first of your card. You usually want your more mid-card title starting it off if you're going to go that route. It was a good match to get the crowd going, though. I mean, it was... I have to admit, it was more of a 50-50 crowd than I thought it was going to be as far as both competitors, because we know CM Punk is such a controversial figure, but you also know the popularity of Joe throughout the world. No matter if he's a heel or if he's a face, he's got the crowd behind him the majority of the time. So I thought it was a good match. However, the one thing I do kind of want to bring up, it was reported by Sean Ross Sapp, and I know I shouldn't really get into this because I don't really like reporting dirt sheet type stuff on our podcast, but I guess there was an altercation backstage with Jungle Jack Perry and CM Punk again. This time with Jack Perry rubbing it into CM Punk that the limo that they used for Hook and Jungle Jack Perry's match was it was a real glass windshield that they used to have Jungle Boy back dropped off on. It's just I don't know. I hope it's really just nothing more than just they're
Fluff.
trying to add some entertainment value, but
Fluff.
yeah, I think it I think at this point it's kind of shit at the moment. So, but what's your take on that, Carlos?
I'm actually on CM Punk's side on this one. I mean, looking from the sounds from what I've read so far, I mean, it kind of sounds like I feel like Jack Perry needs to kind of get in line a little bit, like slow your roll, dude. And I think that's one of the biggest criticisms with AEW is these guys. And again, it's a fine line for me because I don't like it so old school, like where they're bullying guys, like what happened to the Miz and things like that. But at the same time, I think there needs to be there needs to be a happy medium, with these guys need to respect the fact that they wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for the fact that you have these guys that were on the road 300 days a week, missing their family, missing birthdays, missing holidays, missing all this stuff so that they could be in this business, making good money, working on the weekday most of the time, getting weekends off, only having to work one day a week, getting to be on national television. I think some of these guys in AEW just need to have a better respect for that. And there's a way to even if you don't like what CM Punk, you don't agree with what he's telling you, you can still show the respect of listening to somebody who's been in the business a long time, and then just kind of, you don't got to make it so blatant that you're just disrespecting somebody who's given a lot to this business. So it's kind of weird because from what I've read so far, this kind of has me more on CM Punk's side on this one, and Jack Perry just needs to kind of get in line. He's not somebody who I think if he disappeared tomorrow on TV, nobody's going to really miss him. And again, I do like him, but at the same time, he's small. He's not. They have 20 Jack Perrys in AEW right now, and that's they only have one CM Punk. So, and just reading from what they said already, he got sent home and CM Punk's still there. So that kind of tells you everything. But these guys just need to realize, like, Tony Khan's not going to get rid of CM Punk. So if we can all just learn to play nice, their company would be better off for it in the long run.
Well, and another thing, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, brother. The thing that I think a lot of the younger talent, not just in the wrestling industry, any type of work industry, I think some of them come in with this attitude like, yeah, we know everything, but they don't want to learn from their elders because there's definitely things you can learn from your elders, but sometimes the elders can too also learn some of the new ideals from the youth. But this is a case where I would be, if I was in Jungle Jack Perry's case, I'd be listening to CM Punk a little more. I noticed Chris has his hand raised. Chris, if you want to take the mic, go ahead and give us your thoughts.
I appreciate it, John. Carlos, appreciate you having me. I wanted to just say something real quick. I agree with you 100%. I think it's all about longevity in the industry, right? You want to make sure that you actually have people that can stick around long term, right? I think at the end of the day, I think CM Punk's looking out for people and their futures, right? I mean, you heard the stories of Goldberg punching a glass windshield, and ended up hospital later that night because he didn't use a baseball bat. Instead, he wanted to be, back in the day when he was in WCW, like he ended up, losing a ton of blood because he decided to go for it in a real life way. And, Punk has done his homework. He's lived through decades of experience. And I think he ultimately is looking out for the betterment of the people that he's working with. And I think he's ultimately trying to see the industry grow and to see his employer stick around for the long haul. He doesn't want people to harm themselves, which is probably part of the reason why he doesn't get along with some of the quote unquote flippy guys, right? You're talking about like the Young Bucks and the Kenny Omegas of the world, because I don't think that Punk really sees the long-term appeal of something like that when you could end up, really shortening your career. And that Omega's had some injuries because of some of the stuff that he's done. But I would just say that, looking at like kind of going, I'll land my plane here and say that, there's video footage of Danielson teaching or working with Jade Cargill. If you look it up, that exists out there. Some of these wrestlers are trying to learn from their elders and really trying to, to grow from the experience. And I think that some are a little more hesitant. And I think the industry would be better off served, no matter what organization, WWE or AEW, if both sides are willing to kind of say, I can learn from you and you can learn from me, and kind of understand that, this is all about long term, right? And if these people's careers are shortened because they did an extra flip off of a top rope, you probably don't want to. We don't want to do too many of these and potentially injure somebody and lose their entire just their entire their income just because of some moves. So yeah, I'm with you both. I think that there's a lot that can be thought applied to this conversation, but I think that Punk's looking out for folks, not just himself.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hector, I noticed your hand's raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going there, John?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. Well, yeah, when it comes to the subject, I just barely read the dirt sheet about what went on with Punk and Jack Perry. I just think I find it ironic in a way where how most people are saying, it's Punk just kind of watching out for the young guys. It's ironic in a way, like at that point in his life, when he was that young, he used to be the same way too, I believe. Just because I feel, he's learned from his mistakes that he's made before. So he's looking at this new generation, like he sees a lot of himself in them. Because even Punk would admit too, like he thought he was all hot shit until he got in the ring with Eddie Guerrero in an old Ring of Honor match, I believe. It's just, it's one of those things where I feel he's not in the wrong, but there's ways he can approach it. But it's pretty much him showing tough love when it comes to the younger cats. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, hearing the reports like, of course people are gonna try to spit it up like, CM Punk threw another hissy fit at a major event, but I will back up Punk on this side when it comes to that. When it came to the last time, I didn't know, I wasn't gonna pick any sides on that, like let them work it out, but yeah, I mean, he's not in the wrong. Like he just wants to make sure that the younger talent, are keeping themselves safe.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, again, it's a lot of learning from the experience, and what the reason you get elders like Punk or anybody who's been in the industry for so long, it's because they've made those mistakes and they don't want to see those guys do the same thing. They want to help.
Absolutely.
They want to help keep them, like you and Chris and Carlos have all said. It's all about longevity, and if you don't have longevity, the business is not going to survive. It's gonna hit the toilets real quick, and it'll be quicker than a WCW run on a Monday Night Wars. So,
Absolutely.
All right. Well, should we continue on?
Yeah, let's go. And again, just to be again, I'm rooting for them. Like I want this company to succeed. And again, to any of those guys, like you got to know your audience too. And if he didn't think CM Punk was going to come back when he took that shot with them, and again, you're sadly mistaken. Like again, I just hope these guys learn to get along nice. And again, I'm rooting for this company. And again, because I think that the business is better with them here. And again, the more wrestlers that get to eat, the better off we all are. And again, we as fans win no matter what. So let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry to cut you out, but as long as there's an alternative where these wrestlers can get employment, because after, what was it, 2019 or 2020, when everything happened, you hear about all these wrestlers losing their job. So yeah, it's always nice to have different options out there to watch your favorite wrestler up there,
Yeah, and especially they're just and again, who knows what Edge asked for? But if you believe what they said with the dirt sheets with Edge, he asked for a certain amount from WWE, and they said no. And again, we don't know yet if it was outrageous or things like that. But especially with Endeavor coming along, the Endeavor is notorious for telling all these longer tooth UFC fighters thanks but no thanks, because it's all about the brand more than it is the fighters. And WWE's that way too. I mean, they're having their premium live event next week where they barely even had to promote it because the brand's bigger than the stars. So I think that wrestling fans are going to be in for some big surprises when Endeavor takes over. And so I think I think with that, they're going to find themselves more in the corner of AEW, because I honestly think it's going to be a place where these stars, and again, it's going to keep it's going to keep Endeavor accountable, and it's also going to be a place where these stars can go and finish their stories the right way. So yeah, I'm rooting for them.
Absolutely. 100%. I think people were just more worried about when it came to the deal, like it's gonna be more cross promotion with WWE and UFC, which I mean it's not a bad thing.
No, for sure. But at the same time, it's like, it's again, there's going to be a lot of cuts and stuff like that. So when those cuts happen, you're going to want to see a place that people can still eat. And again, be a fan of the business, and let's see it all succeed.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go on to match number 2 of the night of the main card. This one is the one that baffled me the most. Will's so irritated with the way it was finished too. Konosuke Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold defeats the team of Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. You want me to get your thoughts first? Because you look like you're about ready.
Yeah,
to
I'll go ahead.
off.
I'll get it out of the way.
I'm getting a Stone Cold gif in my head right now.
I do not care.
Head shaking back and forth.
I do not care about the fact that the victory went the way it went as far as who got the victory, but why on a freaking premium event in Wembley of all things would you end it with a stupid little roll up?
That finish bugs you more than anything. Well, it kind of bugs me in some ways too. I mean, if it's been a long competitive match and you can't finish off your opponent, I guess that's the way to do it. But they had plenty of opportunities to finish somebody off in that one.
Yeah. And for it being out in Wembley, I just thought they would have given that more thought, more detail.
Well, and they had the right star power too.
Yeah.
I'm just as baffled as you are. But yeah, to me, if it's a 6-man match, you should have a finish somewhere in there. So, Carlos, what did you think of it?
Well, they invited me to be on there. They invited me to be on the
One sec, Carlos. Hey, Hector, can we have you mute your mic?
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. Okay, Carlos, go ahead.
I think that to me, so here's the thing. And again, I kind of feel like I got Tony Khan's booking in with line. It would have made more sense if they would have announced right after the match that Kenny Omega was going to fight Konosuke at All Out. And that's going to be what's going to happen. But I think if they would have just announced that matchup afterwards, it would have made a lot more sense. Like, oh, he got the cheap win. And so now they're going to challenge him for them at All Out. And that's something that I think that they should have been doing throughout this whole card. Especially even we'll get into after, again, I think it's going to be Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley. They should have announced that. If they would have announced that match after that too. And maybe, if it's going to be Eddie and Cesaro or, Claudio, if they would have just announced those matches after the card, then it kind of would have made more sense as to what we're seeing going on here. Because it is kind of being done as a feeder for All Out. So again, if they would have just done that, it would have made a lot more sense to me. But yeah, I just didn't like the cheap victory either. It doesn't really accomplish anything. But again, I do like the fact, again, just looking at from a perspective of the fact that they're in England. It's the first time in front of these fans. I'm glad that they got to see as many stars as they got to see. So for that, I'm okay with it because it's more about the fans that are there than it is about me. I'm just the guy who's getting to watch it on television. So I'm okay with it, but I would have liked a more concise win in the match as well.
Right, moving on to the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The champions FTR defeats the Young Bucks and successfully keeps their championships. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good match. I mean, we mentioned in our preface there that we weren't sure who was going to come out victory because there was many times we thought was over.
No,
there was a kick out.
Yeah, both these teams did an excellent job throughout this entire match. They killed it.
Though I do have to say, though, I like the fact that FTR tried to extend their hands for a sportsmanship handshake, and the Young Bucks turned away. So, are we seeing the hung? Sorry, I got Carlos excited.
Wow.
The Young Bucks.
Whoa! It's Sunday, man. We're talking about on Sunday.
So you were going to call them the Hung Bucks?
This is Monday talk.
Yeah, this is Brian.
This is the Lord's Day. Come on now.
This is
Keep it
Brian's
classy.
booty call talk. We haven't even got to NXT yet, but
I see where you're going with this, and I do think this is where you start to see the Bucks kind of turn.
but the problem is,
But it's the wrong people turning. It should be FTR. That should be the heels.
see, I'm with Carlos. To me, it should be FTR turning because it's CM Punk being the controversial figure.
I agree, but we saw what we saw.
Yeah. In fairness to Will, yeah. I mean, we did see what we saw. I think if you're going to turn a team heel, they turn the wrong team heel. And thanks, Trisha P-Lot, for laughing at my little innuendo there. But
light a candle for him, please. Go light a candle for him right now.
Oh, she'll hit me with a Singapore cane, I know. So, but Will.
Oh, she does that. Trisha, give me your Cash App. I'll hook you up.
Here we go. And right, that is Carlos mentions the Cash App. Our viewership just went up, so you're gonna have to pay for all these.
John just getting attacked with Singapore canes in Utah. I'd be down for it. Just make sure I'm gonna need evidence.
Here we go. Carlos,
but again, that's Monday talk. This is Sunday. We were nice and peaceful today. So
bullshit. we have the word insight in our team name for a reason. But why don't we get your thoughts on that tag team championship?
So again, just being honest for me, like just going back to the opening match, when I see someone get beat with the double clothesline, it's gonna take me out of this match a little bit when I see so many kickouts, and it's like, okay, so am I supposed to get amnesia from what just happened before, and now these guys are getting hit with the semi truck and kicking out before a 3 count? Like, give me a break, It's like, but they told a good story. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The only thing that I thought of when you started talking about that too, there was one spot there where we saw the Young Bucks pull the shoulder up. It was pretty clear, obvious there. But I mean, that is one thing that does bug me. And that was like who was that? That Seth Rollins fought at Crown Jewel, and they did the same thing. Who was it? Who was his opponent in that match? I forget. I can't remember. Or was it Cody? It was one of those matches, but the same thing. It was like, oh, we think it was Finn Balor. And it's like, come on. Like, really? Like, yeah. Well, it's like count it down and just find a way to fix it later, But yeah, that's what bothered me. But anyway, sorry, brother. Didn't mean to interrupt you. And that's one of those things where, again, like I just kind of like what we were talking about before, like, with them doing everything, like, I don't think anybody's going to be looking back on this a year now and be like, oh man, do you remember when Jungle Boy and Hook went through the window? And that's the same thing with this match. Like it does it now, but I think like that's where something they need to learn with WWE is like just slow it down and let the match breathe a little bit. Cause I mean, just all that isn't going to be remembered in the end of the day. Like it's going to be just remembered for a good match. And like and it's just so much. And it's like, okay, so it's just, it was a good emotional roller coaster, and to me, like I said, I would have had them open the card because I feel like this match really kind of brought the energy for the crowd in Wembley. But again, it was a good match, and I do, again, the wrong team is like they're teasing the wrong team, but at the same time, I don't think it's so much about the Young Bucks being heels. It's just the fact that they're competitors and they're pissed because they lost. So I don't think it's necessarily signaling a heel turn. It's just signaling the fact that they wanted that match that bad. And again, if you think you're the best tag team in the world, sometimes it's okay to have a chip on your shoulder. So I'm okay with that. And again, it's just going to lead to more matches. But I'm glad that FTR won. I think they're the best tag team in the world right now. And it doesn't take away from what the Young Bucks have brought to this business. But I just FTR is my kind of tag team, and I'm glad that they got the win. Yeah. What is this now? 1-1 between the Bucks and FTR? No, it's 2-1. This was match 3. So the was it 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This
was their rubber match in a way.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
So the Young Bucks won the first one, and then FTR got the second one, and now FTR's got the third one. Okay. So in theory, we should be done seeing them for a little bit, hopefully, unless they find a way to tease it again. But right now, and to me, like I just want to see tag team wrestling come back with this company. I mean, when I first started watching AEW, the thing that I fell in love with was their tag team division. It was like because I mean, like you've heard the stories about Vince McMahon. Freddie Prinze tells eloquently, like Vince is like, why am I going to pay for 4 guys when I can just pay for 2, you know? So in a match. And so I feel like Vince McMahon doesn't care about tag team wrestling that much. And so I think that that's always been something that I feel like AEW should concentrate on more, is their tag teams. And now with getting Pride and Powerful back, you know, seeing those guys in the Stadium Stampede, you know, I feel like I would just let them see and go back to their roots of just showcasing tag team wrestling, because I think it really is their bread and butter.
Well, and speaking of Stadium Stampede, why don't we go ahead and move on to that?
Did anyone else have any thoughts about the last match before we move on, though? Anyone in the crowd, or are we okay?
Nobody's got their hands up.
All right, sounds good.
I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm watching. So,
All right.
Yeah, Stadium Stampede. This was a. Oh, sorry, getting a 100% from Sage up there. Hey, Sage, how you doing?
Man, I'm just enjoying this show. I was just throwing y'all 100, and I'm just enjoying the flow.
Awesome. Thank you for
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us.
Also want to give some shout outs to Tips there from Straight Tipping on his space. Does a wonderful job covering some multi-sports there, especially football.
Tuesday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Twitter Spaces. So definitely tune in. Definitely a very entertaining show. I catch as much as I can. Again, we're a family here. We all support each other, and just grateful to have them be a part of the team with these guys. Again, amazing guys.
Also want to give a shout out to Christopher Jackson. Thank you for tuning in. And also thank you to Emily I hope I pronounce it right. Emily Boyven. Thank you for tuning in. Why don't we go ahead and get right to the Stadium Stampede? The team of Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Eddie Kingston, and Penta. Well, that's a lot to say. Defeating the Blackpool Combat Club and Proud and Powerful. Why don't we start with you, Will? He's speechless.
I actually did like the match. It was excellent. I did not see Blackpool Combat Club being handed another loss.
Yeah, I was.
There's been a lot of loss for the BCC lately.
Well, not only that, you see Santana come back.
Yeah,
after being gone for over a year.
Yeah, and last I heard was that Santana and Ortiz weren't really even getting along anymore. So.
No, in fact, Santana's contract was actually
extended, right?
I don't know if they ever extended it. I think it was termed, but nobody had any real news on if it.
Honestly, I am. And this is my 2 cents about this thing. I think with Vince being back in control in WWE, I think that Santana's like, oh, okay, maybe I want to stay here now and I want to be best friends again. That's my honest opinion about it all. I think when Triple H was cooking for a while and Vince was gone, I think a lot of wrestlers kind of thought about the other side. But I think now with Vince being there back and with everything going on, I think it's humbling a lot of these guys to realize, oh, maybe I need to play nice and be grateful for what I got and remember my gratitude.
Well, everybody's been nice to Tony Khan lately, so
yeah, exactly. And so I think that a lot of these guys are realizing, oh, maybe it won't be greener if I go over there, So it's like I think that's been a lot of it too. Especially when Triple H is losing his power and all this stuff going on with Vince, I think that these guys are just having second thoughts as to, do I want to go? And again, and I think too, Tony Khan's been smart, letting like a lot of these other contracts expire and maybe not bringing back guys who thought they were going to be brought back, like maybe showing these guys too, like maybe I need to just start being grateful a little bit more for what I have. And again, this is a wrestling business and just, and again, am I going to be really thought of as a single star or am I going to get more along with being a tag team? And I think it's being the tag team. And just shout out to Santana for looking like a snack.
Oh yeah,
again, that's Monday. That's Monday talk. That's Monday talk. But
I was happy to see him come back. He is looking amazing. I hope he does.
Yeah, looking jacked.
Yeah, he's done good for himself apparently.
Yeah.
Accidentally called the Young.
And to me, that's something I always look. Sorry, go ahead.
I said accidentally called the Young Bucks the wrong name, and you just get your Monday talk going there.
Oh, but and then I think that's me. That's something I like to see with wrestlers who are out. And again, seeing them that the fact that they're working on their bodies, getting, taking advantage of their time off. I think that just shows that they do. It's just a small, it just shows that they're taking the business seriously and that they're really, going in the right direction. So again, kudos to him for doing that. He looks great.
Yeah. All right.
So were we giving our thoughts on the match or did Will ever give us thoughts on the match or?
I did. Yeah. He went first.
Okay.
You kind of just slid right in with your
Oh, sorry.
yumminess. You know? No, you're good. But
Choose your wording differently.
no way, no way. But if anyone has any thoughts on the match, feel free to raise your hands too. Don't be afraid to throw out some opinions there.
And again, for me, like with this match, again, it's just I think it served its purpose. Again, it's getting all these guys who again they've been besides Claudio and Wheeler came along or later on, but these guys have been staples of this product. They talk about pillars, but they've all been waving that All Elite Wrestling flag. So, and again, I think, and again, for if you're going to your area, you know, and you're going to see somebody, these are the guys you want to see. I know when they came to the Northern California, I didn't get to see Eddie, and I didn't get to see Ethan Page or Darby Allin. Those are the ones that I kind of missed out on seeing. So, you know, when they're coming, you want to be able to see all the stars. And so, again, I think that this is a good match. You're giving the crowd something to go in, and again, it was a lot of energy. And yeah, I mean, again, I joked the gobbledygooker. You know, that's who Moxley reminded me of with the things in his head. But again, it is what it is. I mean, it's a match and it's blood and it's what I think people expect from AEW. And it was a fun match. Was it my favorite match? No. Am I going to remember this match three months from now? Probably not. But it served its purpose and it got everybody in the crowd. It was a good way to reintroduce Santana and Ortiz back to the AEW faithful. And again, it was just, and you know, having the British crowd speaking Spanish was a good pop for me. So that was kind of fun. You know, I think again, the match served its purpose. And again, and to me, a lot of people, you know, they complain because Moxley, he should be in the main event scene. They're wasting him. But to me, when I look at these guys, you know, like a Moxley who's being humble enough to just kind of go in there and fight with his friends, it gives me a whole new appreciation for him because he's not the guy politicking in the back to be like, I need to be in the main event or that. Like he's somebody who's a team player. He's there for AEW, and it just makes me appreciate him even more personally.
All right, well, we move on to the AEW Women's World 4-Way match. We have a brand new champion in her hometown, Saraya, defeating Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Will's already shaking his head, but why don't we start with you, Carlos?
Is this the part where you guys acknowledge me for picking the right one?
No.
I already acknowledged you with the one finger salute, so yes.
Yeah, I'm number one, thanks.
I did it Eddie Kingston style there at the end of the match, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you want to give your thoughts first?
To me, like I was, you know, like from the very beginning, I kind of saw the writing on the wall as to why, you know, they took the belt off Toni in the first place because they wanted to add Saraya to the match. But at the same time, to me, it just this whole thing is just bad. Like, I guess, again, it's one of those, like we just talked about, you know, like you're taking the training wheels off the bike and you're letting your kid go. And so that, I think that's what we feel like every time, you know, we see the women's division, you know, it's like, okay, are they going to get it right this time? And they totally missed it with this one. Again, we saw Mercedes in the crowd. I'm happy for that. I've been dying on that hill for a long time that she was going to show up in AEW. If she does come in, I hope that it leads to better booking for them. But this match just didn't make sense. And again, when going back to the training wheel comment, what I mean by that is if you know that your biggest criticism is how you book the women's division, then think about that before you book it. And so just to me, like this just left him up for more criticism because you had him follow a match where it just took all the energy out of a crowd. And then it's like, then you put the belt on one of the biggest fan favorites in Shida, and you had her lose it only with a couple weeks. It was just bad booking all around. Like, again, if you're going to have Saraya turn on Toni Storm anyways, they should have just kept the belt on Toni Storm and then had Saraya turn on her. You know, there's nothing that happened that it couldn't have been the same result. And to me, I would have had Shida go over Saraya this week at all out and then get that big pop in front of the Chicago crowd and make everyone happy. The way this was booked, it just leads to a lot of criticism. And again, there's nothing wrong with Saraya getting that, you know, the home field thing. And again, I think it's one of those things where, again, like they're trying to show, again, this is somebody who Vince McMahon didn't see any value in. and they were never worried about trying to clear her to wrestle again until she was in head AEW. So I think in a way you're making her champion for the reason of the fact you want to give the home crowd a feel good story, but you're also trying to show again to Vince and the WWE, here's somebody that you didn't see any value in, and we do, but it just wasn't executed correctly.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, I absolutely love AEW's women's division. That's how I'm going to start it off. I don't have any problems with any of the ladies that were in this match. However, this was a fail. This was an absolute fail. I've said it before when WWE started messing up with the women's tag titles, that it's basically the new 24/7 title. Well, I didn't know that thing was a case of herpes, and it's made it all the way over to AEW.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Damn, dude.
What?
You need a hug?
No, I just, you know what? These ladies need to be shown more appreciation. It should have been done better, like Carlos said.
No, I totally agree. It makes no sense. You take the championship off Tony,
I get why they did what they did.
put it on Sheeta, which I understand. They wanted to have Sheeta have that moment with, the fans, because her reign was during the COVID years where everything was shut down, and then.
But it's not like Sheeta's 50 years old either, though. She still has
No.
time to get done.
Oh,
It's like they're rushing it. It's like again, just execute it better. It's like
They might as well just dressed Sheeta up for 2 weeks in toilet paper. Is how I feel about it.
Yeah, no. And again, it's just the execution. The fans thought they're finally getting their champion that they've been championing Sheeta. They all love her, and then they just got a pie in the face instead.
Yep.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, they should have kept that championship on Tony and had Saraya betray her and become the champion. Or if you keep the 4-way, have Saraya pin somebody else in the match, and the belt stays with the Outcast. Either way, I'm just a little interested in what's going to happen with Toni Storm now after this event. So, I mean, clearly, I think we all see that she's going to be kicked out of the group by Soho and Saraya after she. Well, what was it? Did she kick or punch?
Oh, she punched her.
She punched Soho. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember how she went about attacking her. Short-term memory, folks. Sorry, but yeah, I don't know. Something is not going to go down well come Dynamite. We know we're going to start seeing Toni Storm probably break away after that, or somehow they make up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you would make up after something like that. So to me, it was just booked terrible. I would have just
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Like I said before, keep the championship on Storm. Have Saraya win it today. It just made no sense to have a transitional champion. Go ahead, Carl. Sorry.
No, and the other thing too, and again, just the criticism. So again, like looking at the card now, they would have been better suited to have like a women's battle royal, instead of the MJF Adam Cole Aussie Open match, and again, like even like that, they had enough room for that on the pre-show. But again, when you have like women, like you have Athena, who was your MVP of Ring of Honor, and she was in your main event of your last Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and she's sitting there, texting from home, talking about how she wasn't flown out for the event. You had Chris Statlander doing the same thing, who's your TBS champion, who had that big moment at, who got to beat Jade Cargill, and she's not even flown out for the event, sitting at home, saying how she's going to watch it from home. It's just bad PR all around. And so when you're going into all that stuff already, like the fans already criticized it before it even starts. And so they just need to be smarter about trying to get all these, and again, I agree with Will. Like I'm on the same page as Will. Like I love the talent of the AEW women, but they're just not being booked or treated properly. And I just want, try to fit as much as them in, care for them as much as you do the men, and it would just make the product a lot better all around.
Most definitely. If anybody has any thoughts, feel free to raise your hand. And we'll come back to you on that thought too. Why don't we go to the probably one of the more other wild matches we've seen tonight, the coffin match I've never seen, I guess you can say, a Texas tornado style type coffin match ever in pro wrestling. I believe this is the first one ever. But the team of Darby Allin and Sting defeat the team of Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Uh, Will's face palming and laughing. Maybe we should go to Carlos first on the opinion here.
Before we get to that, I want to ask what you guys think about all the licensed music?
I thought it was pretty cool. I'm not opposed to seeing that type of stuff on the pay-per-views, honestly.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, so that part of it was enjoyable for me.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, did you not watch the last pay-per-view where they had?
No, I didn't watch the last pay-per-view whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, they had Daniel Bryan come out to the final countdown done by Europe.
Oh, geez.
Which I thought was pretty good. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was very fitting for his match with Okada there at Forbidden Door.
Mm.
But Carlos, what's your thoughts on that coffin match?
Well, just really quick for me, like I was just about the licensed music thing. The reason why I asked is I feel like not having Sting's theme song took the crowd a little bit out of the match at first. So that's why I asked the opinion of it, because I feel like it was kind of cool, but at the same time it was done a little too much for some of the matches. And I like even Saraya, like they should have just done it for one person and left it at that. Because I feel like fans were waiting to pop to Sting's music, and it didn't. And also, did Justin Roberts forget to introduce Darby Allin?
You know,
Yes,
I thought
he
so.
did, right? Yeah, he just introduced Sting, and I'm like, what the fuck? You know,
yeah.
But the thing I do want to point out, actually, they used Sting's one of Sting's theme music from WCW. Actually,
Yes, they did.
Okay,
so
that's his old theme music.
So in fairness, they actually did use one of Sting's old theme music. It was
gotcha.
It was right at the toilet end of WCW, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. If you go back and watch on Peacock Network, I don't know if they eliminated it yet.
I'm sure they did. Yeah, they're not paying those rights.
yeah, but Sting actually came out to that music.
Seek and Destroy.
I want to say it was.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it was either the second to last or the very last year of WCW's run under the Turner Network.
Yep.
But again, I think this match was really good. I feel and again, this is one of those things where, again, like from the talent wise, just something that was reported was that AR Fox, he knew he had travel issues, and he never told AEW about it. And so for me, that was just a bad part on him, because again, I was really excited to see him kind of get to come up, and then for him to not be able to even go there in the first place. It left a bad taste in this match for me. But I think Christian was a great replacement. And my thoughts on this match is that Swerve's dreads were hanging out, so the match still shouldn't be over. No, that's my.
The funny part, Will and I said that same thing. Like, wait a minute, his hair's sticking out. The hair
so that's out. My thought. That's my thought. The match should still be continuing because his dreads were hanging out. So that's my one thought about the match. But other than that, I thought the match was good. Again, it served its purpose. The whole time I was like, don't let Sting get hurt. I mean, again, Darby Allin's become one of my favorite wrestlers. Again, he's just, and again, from aesthetic, like I'm one of those guys. I like the big meaty buffy man, like a Vince does. And so for me, like, Darby's won me over with just his talent and his heart. So, and I think Swerve is going to be a really good heel. So, and again, the work that Christian's doing has been amazing. I just didn't like Nick Wayne coming out. He's like 150 pounds soaking wet, and he's gonna come out with a little kid skateboard. Like, you should have came out with like a chainsaw, like, I mean, give me a break. That was the one part where I was like, really? Like, you think you're gonna do damage to Luchasaurus with this little skateboard? So that's the one thing that took me out of the match, and it didn't really make sense as to why Luchasaurus was trying to eliminate Nick Wayne from the match, like, because he's more of a threat than Nick Wayne is. So that part of it didn't really make any sense to me. But overall, like, just the match was entertaining. Again, it's giving the crowd what they want to see. It's a special attraction match. You got Sting there. Again, I was there at WrestleMania 31 when Sting fought Triple H, and I was just flabbergasted when Triple H beat Sting. I just kind of took the air out of Levi Stadium. So for me, it was nice to see Sting I've really enjoyed the second act of Sting, and I've really enjoyed seeing him get to go out this way instead of the way he was treated in WWE. So I was just really glad that Tony Khan did this for Sting. And again, I can look past little things, because at the end of the day, this is about giving Sting something special, as he's ending the end of his career. So I'm appreciative for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pointing at you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I actually did really, really love the match. Technically, nobody should have won because they beat the shit out of that coffin, so it can't even close properly.
Yeah.
Along with Carlos, I kind of want to see Sting kind of hold back on some of the things he's doing.
Well, I mean, for one-offs like this, I think that's right to utilize them. But
even like when Swerve, Swerve did he did a kick towards Sting's neck, and I'm like, is that really necessary when we know Sting has a bad neck? One little mistake, and that could end it all, So it's just the better planning of it, just being more safe with that kind of stuff.
I'm not saying totally get rid of what he's doing, just tone it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Age does affect.
We should have a ban using the moves on Sting here. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't add anything to the match, and it's more just about Sting being there. I don't want to see it end because of a move that didn't really add anything to the match and that wasn't really necessary. It's like the old WWE mentality. Reply more on the story being told and less about having to get a bunch of different moves in. Like the story enough is there as it is.
Well, and the problem with that, though, you have to almost apply that to every single match, though, because you see that in almost, as I said already, you almost see that in every match as is. So there's things that definitely could be eliminated that you definitely don't need in there, but you can still tell the story just fine with all the other stuff. So while we go on to special matches we mentioned before, Will Ospreay getting the victory over, I'm just going to say the GOAT, Chris Jericho, just because, in my opinion, he is a GOAT. Will, what did you think of that match?
Beautiful match. They did an excellent job. They worked extremely well together. Kudos to Jericho for giving the rub. Will did exactly what we thought we was going to go out there and do. He performed high level.
Now, when you see a high caliber match like that, especially from Will Ospreay, and I know I'm going to get some heat from the Kenny Omega fans, but I'm sorry. I think Will Ospreay right now is the hottest wrestler in all of pro wrestling right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that.
Carlos?
I'm with you.
Carlos is raising his hand, but he.
I was trying to give 100%. There we go.
Okay. I was going to say you don't need to raise your hand. You're on the same connection with us, but what was your thoughts overall in the match, Carlos?
I thought it was really good. Again, I teased on talking on X earlier, because everyone was trying to shit on this match, and it's like I wouldn't put it past Chris Jericho to steal the show. And again, this match it was perfectly placed on the card. Again, it would be my third favorite match because again, I like this kind of like those last three matches were my three favorites, and they kind of went in order of how I liked them. This match served its purpose, and again, I'm only thing I'm mad about is I got my prediction wrong, so of course I hate the match because of that. No, just joking aside on that though. Again, when you want to criticize just Chris Jericho 6 months from now because you're saying maybe there's another program that runs too long with somebody or things like that. Don't lose the fact that this guy put over Will Ospreay. He didn't have to. If he didn't want to lose, I'm sure he wouldn't have. So again, just kudos for him. And again, he's making Ospreay look good. And again, I feel like right now, they're probably recruiting for Ospreay too. I mean, they're not dumb. And again, when you have Will Ospreay able to play in your house, show him all the benefits of signing with AEW. So I think Chris Jericho also did a smart thing for the company by letting Ospreay go over because it just shows that You know, it just goes to show that, hey, you know, we'd love to have you over here with us, and you know, we'll let you stay here. We'll let you make better money than you ever made with New Japan. You can still have the POC deal where you can go back to England for a couple months out of the year, and so we're for New Japan, because you know WWE is going to be knocking down Ospreay's door. Hopefully, you know, who knows, like we were talking about with Endeavor. But I just think all around this was a smart move by AEW. And again, kudos for Jericho, because he is a company guy. He does the way that AEW flag, and I just think the match came off really smooth. And I just like the layers too, you know, like Sammy, like kind of looking like, you know, Jericho just kind of questioning what's next for him. It's easy for him to maybe go with them, you know, maybe go with the Don Callis now. And again, kudos to Don Callis. That guy is so good on the mic. I love him and Nigel going back and forth on commentary. And again, there's just a lot of layers that are being left. Like you're having Chris Jericho question himself now after this loss. I love how Jericho kind of just gave him the middle finger and said, just if you're going to do it, finish it. You know, again, it was a really well done match. Kudos to both competitors.
It's something I actually want to point out is the people who are crapping on this being such a long drag. These two were actually supposed to face off during the shutdown era of COVID. That's when their first outing was supposed to take place, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, one, I'm glad we all got a special match out of these two. And two, I kind of hope to see a rematch eventually down the road. It was a little weird for me to watch these two fight because the last Jericho cruise I was on, we had Will Ospreay actually saving Chris Jericho from an attack of all factions. The how was it called? Chaos Project, Luther and Serpentico. So, yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
scary. I'm putting my Razor Ramon little finger, Scott Hall fingers down the air.
Well,
Woo!
of all the people to save Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho, it was Danhausen and Will Ospreay. So,
Serpentico and oh good
Yeah.
lord.
yeah, if you gotta rely on Danhausen to help save you from that, you know you're in trouble. So, well, we move on to the Trios Championship. We have brand new AEW World Trios Champions, the Acclaimed and Badass Billy Gunn, get the victory over the House of Black. Carlos, let's start off with your thoughts on
Woo! Yeah, scissor me. Yeah, I was again. This is
excited.
this is my again to me like again this the Acclaimed are my guys again with Anthony, with just LGBTQ community and stuff like that. Like again, they're my team. Seeing them come up together, just getting the accolades they've gotten. Like this is my favorite act in AEW, and again, I had a feeling from the very beginning the story they were telling. And again, for me, like they should have never lost the tag team titles if you're asking me, just because I feel like they were the hottest act, and they just got kind of taken from them unceremoniously, just to kind of put FTR over. And again, I love FTR too, but it's just one of those things where you want to see both acts kind of flourish. And I think this was the right call for them. Again, getting to see Badass Billy Gunn come back again for what he's done for those guys, helping to get them over. I'm just glad to see them be able to give back to him and win the 6-man the trios tag team titles with him, you know, him getting that last little victory lap too. And I just think it's the best call, you know, like I think I would love to see a Malachi Black and CM Punk program. You know, seeing Buddy and Brody Brody King, just seeing those guys in the tag team division or even singles division too. I just think the House of Black, they kind of established themselves as stars. The way that they kind of gave the belts at the end, again, was just a classy act all around. I love the match. It was good storytelling. And again, you're giving the crowd at Wembley something. They got one of the biggest pops of the night before the main event. And so to me, it was just giving the crowd something they want to see. And you had the world's largest scissor party. And again, it was just a beautiful moment. And again, as somebody who saw these guys coming up together on Dark and, you know, and being told not to scissor because they're questioning it, then fighting for it, keeping it alive. I'm just really happy for them. Again, I love them because everybody loves the Acclaim. Duh.
Well, we know you do definitely, but William, do you love the Acclaimed?
I think they're a great team. This match, I mean, it was good. There was just some things about it that kind of took away from me. I saw quite a few sloppy moments. but it was well executed otherwise.
Yeah. The only thing I could say is Billy Gunn definitely starting to show some age in the ring, but as far as entertainment value, it didn't take away from anything. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see new trios champions. I think it's been kind of long overdue the last couple of matches, honestly.
I think that's the other part that made it kind of tough for me to really be more enthused about it, is because for me, I already had it figured the Acclaimed were going to take it. So,
Well, and I think we need to have AEW Creative get some more interest in that trios championship too, because you kind of lost some of its luster. I mean, we mentioned that long title reigns are good as far as having prestige for a championship. I think this one may have just went a little too long, but for 6-man tag champions, I thought the House of Black did a pretty good job. I actually loved the gimmick where they let their opponents choose a stipulation per match. That was something very different that you don't see very often. It was kind of similar to like when the Fabulous Freebirds around and they implemented the Freebird rule where any two members of the faction could defend the World Tag Team Championship. Even though this wasn't really the case, it's just worked in a way where they gave the other team an advantage by choosing a stipulation. And so many of them had some great stipulations. This one was actually pretty good. It was very benefiting for the Acclaimed and Badass Billy Gunn, where it was a no holds barred match that they chose, and they got the victory and finally dethroned the champions. But let's move on to the main event. That was, I thought, definitely was main event level and the right match for the night in the place. For the AEW World Championship, champion MJF successfully retains over his counterpart, the other half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Adam Cole. And what was very interesting to see was we eventually saw Roderick Strong come in, and you know how jealous he's been with Adam Cole becoming best friends with MJF all of a sudden, because nobody can really buy MJF being a good guy and having friends. And unfortunately, they stuck it out with this gimmick throughout the entire pay-per-view. I was waiting for one or the other to turn, and it did not happen. Roderick Strong did get involved and tried to help his, I guess you can say now, former buddy Adam Cole by trying to take MJF out, but it did not happen. And, if Bryce Remsburg would have counted to 3 a little faster, we probably would have had a new AEW World Champion, but that did not happen. And, I thought overall it was a great event. We see a little bit of possible shenanigans after the match where we thought maybe MJF was going to be knocked out by Adam Cole with the belt, and that was not the case. They ended up hugging and making up, and that's pretty much the night there. What was your thoughts of the main event there, Will?
So, given everything that this match was, and this was a lot, I loved everything about it. But if nothing else had happened, I would have just been happy enough with what involvement the ref had in this. I was pretty annoyed with that ref throughout the night. So,
well, I thought you were more annoyed with Rick Knox than you were Bryce Remsburg.
No, but it's kind of a fun break to see a ref every now and then get that much involvement too. So, but I think these two did a killer job of going back and forth and playing their story, playing their parts. They wrestled an excellent match.
Carlos?
And then like I said earlier, like in the very beginning comments of we were talking about overall thoughts of the show. Again, to me, I think MJF and Cole, they delivered, and to me, they showed that they belong in the main event. I think they did a really good job with it. I think that they got the crowd involved. They had the crowd over. I mean, when you're looking at all the other talent that was on this card and people were questioning, it was even, people we were talking about before, what should be the people, some people even were questioning like what should be the main event of all in. And it should, and again, shout out to our tag team, one of our tag team partners, Bryan the Hype Ballard, because it's like, dude, for the last couple of pay-per-views, the AEW World Title hasn't been the main event, and so and it should always be the main event. And so I think that they had the spot. This has been the match that's been they've gotten the most story time on TV, and I'm just glad the whole thing. I'm glad all the way around how the match went, because I was looking for example, like when Adam Cole kind of went down the more dirtier path, it's in my mind is like, okay, MJF's gonna just turn heel because he's just been looking for this moment for MJF to break for Adam Cole to break his trust, and for Adam Cole to like show that he isn't who he thought he was, and he's always going to turn off. He's going to go back to being a heel, and that didn't happen. And they kind of did it in a right way where Adam Cole, bend the rules a little bit, but MJF still respected the fact that it was in the spirit of competition. And I just thought the whole way the match was done, it was really well done. It was beautiful storytelling, and again, like, MJF is my scumbag, I think that's a good sign because he is my scumbag. But at the same time, I want to cheer for him. So I'm glad that I hope that he does go down the role of the face and doesn't turn heel, because I think the fans want to embrace him. And I think he's doing a really good job with it. I mean, he has people he's over. So for me, I hope that we don't see a heel turn. And again, the thing that I appreciate the most is that they told a good story. There's a lot of people involved, but as a fan, I still don't know which way the story is going to end. Like, is Cole going to turn on MJF? Is MJF going to turn on Cole? Are they going to ride off in the sunset together? Like, it's one of the few stories that I can't tell the ending for. And as a fan, we get so fickle sometimes, as Bryan Danielson would say. So I appreciate the fact that they're in a place with a story that I don't know what's going to happen next, and I'm really excited about that. It gives me a reason to tune in and be excited about the show.
Oh, for sure. Did you? If anybody has any thoughts on the rest of the card, please raise your hand. But
I think it's only Tip and Sage left in this crowd.
Well, yeah, but we also have other viewers in. Other
nice.
So, however, yeah. Overall, let's just say out of rating of a 10, what would you give this, Will?
This one I would give a 7.
Carlos?
I would go the same. I give it a 7 too.
And I'm right there. I was kind of in between 6.5, 7. I thought it was a pretty solid card for what it was. I was hoping it would have delivered a little more than what it did. The hardest thing though is when you're doing a 4-hour pay-per-view event, though, it's really hard to keep that enthusiasm going. So,
and the only thing that kept me from making it a 6 is because the things that they did do right in this, they did very right.
Yeah. I just think if the women's match would have been booked a little better.
Yeah, that's your only women's match, and bleh, that's what we got. So
right. I think if also they would have had the placement of the Real World Championship match a little later in the card, it definitely would have worked wonders. The biggest thing though was I kind of thought the Stadium Stampede match was a little all over the place. I think if they could have done a better job with that, the pairing, I guess the combination of the team that won was kind of just
weird,
way weird. I mean, best friends, and then Eddie Kingston and Penta.
Yeah, it was weird.
And Penta coming back in different his more darker side, and all he did was a spot that he always does. I mean, that made no sense. Like breaking arm, like he could at least broken an arm kayfabe, because that's the one thing that character is known for, was breaking arms. He could at least like in kayfabe broke an arm or something. It was kind of like, oh, so you came back all the way like that, had the entrance. All he did was a swanton bomb off the ladder into some tables. Okay, like that made a lot of sense.
That's all we saw out of it.
That's all we saw out of him.
Yeah. I do have to say that was kind of an interesting moment to watch the skewer stick stuck in Moxley's head, though, for a minute there. I was like, how the hell did they get that to stick? But they did.
Yeah. Personally, I would have preferred if they would have just stuck with keeping it the Lucha Brothers. But I understand where they were going with that.
Well, no, because Penta, because if you didn't hear, Felix is applying for his green card in the United States, And with that being done, he can't travel out of the United States. It's the same same thing Ethan Page is doing too. Ethan Page is applying for citizenship in the United States too, so he can't travel either right now, because when you do that, you're stuck in the United States until you get it.
I'm glad they're going for it.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. They deserve it. That's what the American dream is all about. So again, I want to see that if those guys that, they're over here, giving us entertainment, want to become citizens of this country, and they are, they want to have legal grounds to stay here, more power to them. I think that's a beautiful thing. But my thoughts too, again, and my one thing is, what do you guys think about them going back already next year? I'm going back to the training wheels thing. Like, no. What do you guys think about that? Them going back next year already?
Well, I think good for them.
I think it would be a great thing, but I think they've definitely got some room to improve, and they need to pay attention to that.
I'm just afraid of it. If you look at like the last 3 years of them doing what's it called? What's the show they have at Grand Slam? The tennis is going down every year, and even this year they're only like at 5,000 or 6,000 people. So I'm just like, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like they're not going to get as many people next year, and I feel like again it's just going to lead people to criticize them. But I hope to be proven wrong with that. But I'm just afraid, like, really, guys, like you haven't learned yet from all these other things. Like, I still have to put the training wheels back on again, but it is what it is. And
this is kind of where you have always gone with it. Is the build-up should have been a lot better. And of course, we've always discussed, a creative team would do wonders.
Yeah, for sure. But again, at the same time, they have a whole year to get it right. And I think if they go back next year, they don't got to worry so much about, trying to get as much people on the card as possible. So it could definitely be a totally different card. So they have a whole year to do it. But again, I'm just kind of fearful of it. Again, if they only do 75, they didn't get as much as last time. I just feel like it's going to leave them up to some criticism they don't need. But at the same time, hey, if they could be getting a hell of a deal on the stadium too. So again, kudos to them for trying, but I just feel like, all right, maybe we could have waited 6 months to announce that, but whatever.
Well, and sometimes it's good to plan ahead too. I just think maybe you shouldn't have announced it quite yet.
I think they done better had they actually gotten, a collective result as far as the fans' appreciation for it out there.
Yeah, just next year in January, just wrap up Danielson and Pac in some bubble wrap, so they'll be good to go in August.
I mean, they can always adjust
and Jamie Hayter too. Just let them all chill in catering until August comes around.
No, we don't need them looking like Eddie Kingston now. Come on, wow, just kidding.
But that was like night and day. Looking at Santana, look at Kingston. Like, okay, here's one who really went for it, and then here's Eddie.
So, just out of curiosity, because I wasn't here last week, did you keep tally who was right and who was wrong?
Oh, I didn't add it up yet. So hold on, let me add it up really quick. I can do that when you guys want to talk.
Well, while we're in that case, while we keep giving some shout outs here, thank you to Saged Up and Straight Tipping for sticking with us throughout the entire space here in X. Thank you to Trisha Pilot, who's our administrator on the Facebook group. Appreciate everything you've done for us, and we hope that you're still willing to deal with me and William here on out. Also want to give a shout out to Hector and Positively Chris for giving us their thoughts on a couple of topics here during this episode. Did you have any shout outs you want to give, Will?
Just basically the same ones I pretty much ever say is thank you to our fans.
And also want to give a shout out to our two other co-hosts who weren't able to join us, at Mama Girl Forever on the X app and the Bryan Adkins as well on the X app. Heather and Bryan, they weren't able to make it to this week's episode, but we hope they're doing good and look forward to talking with them here in the future. What are you pointing out there?
Why do you only have 9?
I guess I got 6 out of 11. Yeah. Because I can't add. Don't make fun.
Yeah. That's right. There's I forgot the Jungle Boy.
Yeah. So as we're waiting for Carlos to do the tallies here,
I've got my tally already.
How much did you get?
I got 7 out of 11.
Oh, you beat me.
I think
Well-
I think you guys all did. I think I got 8 out of 11 though. I think I won with 8.
Oh, of course.
I'm just happy that I got, above 50% this time.
If Heather wasn't watching,
Heather got
she-
6 out of 11 because she picked Jericho with me.
Well, see, if Heather wasn't watching AEW and she went on blind pick, she would have wasted all of us. Just so you know, because she's pretty good at doing that.
Oh, John, John? Didn't you get 6 or you got 7?
No, I got 6.
Because you picked the House of Black too. Shame on you.
What are you saying?
Hmm.
I picked House of Black. I picked Sheeta to retain.
You all
I picked-
picked her except for me.
Yeah, I picked the Blackpool Combat Club to win, and that one backfired on me.
Yep.
I think the one that was probably the most surprising was Aussie Open losing. Nobody really.
Nobody.
I don't think it.
I did.
Well, I'm sorry. Carlos was the only one that didn't.
Thank
predict
you.
Aussie Open to lose, but so, but you still tallying there?
No, so you got 6.
Okay.
Then Will got 7, right?
Yeah.
Heather got 6, and then Brian got 7, and I got 8.
Oh, Carlos for the win. Oh man, you're gonna start being the devil here of the group.
Tomorrow,
Well,
I'm the same. It's Sunday, like I already said.
You do have those heel type qualities, so.
Well, don't you know, like the nicest good guys make the best bad guys because we know what to look for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, did you have any final thoughts there, Will?
No.
Carlos, do you have any final thoughts?
Again, it was entertaining. Again, something I always remember too is that I'm usually up before because I'm usually going to bed like at 3 in the morning. I usually wake up around 10, so I was up earlier than usual. So that's something I always factor in when I'm judging these things. But it was an entertaining show. Again, I think that they delivered for the crowd that was there. Again, it was a good show. And I'm looking forward to All Out. Again, Miro versus Will Hobbs right there just does it for me with that card. So
All right.
big meaty men stop a meat.
Oh,
Easy.
jeez.
Save it for Monday. All right. Well, Sage, did you have any final words to say there?
Man, I'm just so grateful to listen and just I love you guys' flow today, and I was just really enjoying and kicking back and enjoying my Sunday. Listen to the Wrestling wfincite Sunday Takedown.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining. Same with you, Straight Tippin'. Thank you for joining us. And I think that's going to do it for this episode of Wrestling Fans Insight Sunday Takedown. We hope you enjoyed the event. We hope you enjoyed watching the AEW All In PPV. If you did tune in, if you're going to watch it later, sorry we spoiled it, but too bad. But anyhow, we'll be back again on Twitter, or sorry, not Twitter, but X Space for Monday Night Discussion, where we'll start
At
right
8
about
o'clock. 8
the last
o'clock.
hour.
You
8
started at 8
o'clock.
o'clock though, right? Yeah.
8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So
No, 11 o'clock Eastern, right? Right after Raw's over.
no, I started at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Or I'm sorry, no, I take that back.
Man.
Yeah. See, Carlos is messing me up.
No, he ain't.
Yes, he is.
No,
I'm
I said
blaming
11
Carlos.
o'clock. You started for right after
Oh.
Raw, 11 o'clock Eastern
Yeah.
time. I was right the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah, sorry.
Excuse
getting
me? What was that?
I'm getting my time zones mixed up. I apologize.
Sorry, Carlos. Oh, thanks. Thanks, John, for having that humility.
If you give me a minute to apologize humbly, we'll be back again 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, right after Monday Night Raw goes off the air for Monday Night Discussion. So,
There it is.
yes. Oh, Lord. Give me a break.
Give him a cookie, Will. Give him a cookie.
I'll give him a shark.
Oh, dear. Here we go. Anyways, for your host, William, Carlos, and myself, John, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you tomorrow night on X Space. So long. Peace out and be awesome to each other.
Are you still there? We're still live, right? All right.